Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zeng here, and today I'm finally back with another upload and another episode of Road to Ranked. I know it's been quite a while since I last left you guys with an update and a video, but it's been really hectic the last few weeks, and now I'm finally settled in, as you can see, in my college dorm. So I am getting back on track with the YouTube grind. I'm looking to record daily videos once again. Really trying to figure out my schedule since classes actually start up in 2 days. So things are going to be a little bit hectic, but it's really nice to finally have everything set up once again and be able to make videos for you guys. So first of all, an update: I did compete at Worlds, made it to day 2 since my regular season was pretty good. Unfortunately at Worlds I didn't do too hot, finished with a record of 4-3 with a overall placing of 28th place. So I went positive, I haven't gone negative at Worlds yet, but this was my worst placing yet actually, after finishing 18th last year, 3rd the year before, and 8th the year before that. So a little bit disappointed with my run, and I know I'll be working really hard to make it back onto the main stage next year and really show off what I can do there. But I'd like to thank all of you guys for supporting me throughout this season. It honestly went a lot better than I expected, especially with school being a thing and YouTube, me pushing it really hard as well. Now I feel like I figured out a pretty good balance, and I know what I have to do to have an even better season in 2016. So yeah, definitely look forward to that, and I'll be doing my best for both myself and for you guys. I thought it'd be pretty fun to actually feature my Worlds team on Road to Ranked. I'll be doing a team analysis on this team as well. It's a really fun team. Of course, a lot of you guys who tuned into the World stream might have seen that the top 8 teams were pretty similar, but I went a completely different route when I went, and built my Worlds team. As you can see from the Pokemon, none of the Pokemon really too common other than that Sylveon. So it's going to be fun to feature, and it has a lot of neat tricks that I'm excited to show you guys. So without further ado, let's finally start this episode and jump onto the online ladder, currently with a rating in the mid 1700s. So the team, as you can see, is Gothitelle, Swampert, Salamence, Sylveon, Blaziken, and Ferrothorn. And for those wondering what the Mega Evolution is, it is indeed the Salamence, as we find Mr. Penguin 93 with a rating of 1817 to kick off this episode. So Mr. Penguin here has a team of Sylveon, Landorus, Aegislash, Gastrodon, Salamence, and Entei. So when building this team, I really like the idea of Salamence and Gothitelle, which I actually brought to 2014 Worlds as well. The ability to trap in stuff and get Helping Hand double edges off is really powerful. So immediately I can tell that my Salamence is pretty good right from the get-go, but Landorus is a really difficult Pokemon to deal with this team, so I'm going to have to play around that. However, the Swampert that I ended up bringing to Worlds, which is an Assault Vest Swampert, actually deals with the Landorus Aegislash core pretty well, and my opponent does have both of those Pokemon, so that can definitely help out a lot. Ferrothorn here also can be crucial, especially if I can knock out the Entei, because once Entei goes down, Ferrothorn kind of walls the majority of my opponent's team. So the question that I always, ask myself when I use this team is, do I want to lead with Gothitelle? Because Gotrap from the get-go is really good, but it's also completely dependent on what my opponent brings out. For example, could lead Gothitelle Sylveon here, but that's weak to a bunch of combinations that my opponent can bring. Right now, I'm actually leaning towards going with the Swampert right from the start, and Salamence to get that Intimidate off. Considering Ferrothorn here in the back, I think Ferrothorn's really good. For the last one, it's a toss-up between Sylveon and Blaziken. Sylveon deals with Landorus, Gastrodon, and my opponent's Sylveon pretty well, especially once you guys see the moveset, but Blaziken puts on a bit more offensive pressure, since Overheat / Superpower, Overheat knocks out Aegislash, HP Ice knocks out the Salamence, and Superpower does a ton to Entei and the Gastrodon. So let's see, I think I'm going to want to go with Sylveon here, just because it's a bit bulkier and it can take Hyper Voices from the opponent's Sylveon. And I haven't mentioned any of the movesets yet, but the Sylveon isn't Choice Specs, it's actually Calm Mind with Rest, which is a really fun trick, especially when you lock your opponent in with Gothitelle. So I'm going to go out here with my Salamence and my Swampert, get that Intimidate off right from the get-go. As my opponent leads with Salamence and Aegislash, this is actually pretty much a perfect lead matchup for me here. My Salamence here is actually max attack, so we'll be able to just get a very powerful double edge off right from the get-go, and he doesn't have Intimidate here. A good play my opponent can make is actually withdrawing Aegislash out into Salamence and going for a Hyper Voice with Sylveon, and I wonder if, he's smart enough to make that read. That would be such a good play here. So I could Ice Beam the Aegislash, predicting the Salamence switch out. That would be awesome. Or do I want to just Earth Power it? I don't know, if I were my opponent, I'd definitely switch that out right now. I'm gonna go for the Ice Beam onto it. Mega Evolve and just go Double Edge Sylveon. That way, if he stays in, that's fine. He withdraws Aegislash. Okay, cool. So let's see if it is Salamence coming in here. Nice. Salamence comes in, so that's perfect there. Good prediction for me, and we'll see how it pays out here, whether Sylveon goes for a Protect or whether it attacks. But regardless, you know, that was probably the best play I could have asked for there, other than... Actually, you know, since I was predicting that I could have gone for the Protect with Salamence and an Earth Power onto Sylveon, but if Sylveon protects here, you know, I just want to get as much offense off as possible. No Protect coming out from Sylveon, so I do get the Double Edge off against it, but unfortunately with the Intimidate, they're not going to be able to pick up the knockout. The Sylveon here actually goes for the Calm Mind, which is really, really, really good for me here, because now my Salamence is the fastest Pokemon on the field, and I can outspeed him, and I'm going to be able to get this Ice Beam off since I did predict the Aegislash to switch out into Salamence. So Ice Beam comes out from there, targets down the Salamence, and picks up the one-hit KO. So, great start to the game there, as perfect as I could have gotten. Didn't lose Pokemon at all, didn't take any damage other than that Double Edge recoil. I was expecting that Hyper Voice to come out there, and yeah, this game should be, you know, it's not over yet, but it's going to be a difficult one to lose, especially since I see Entei coming out now. So I'm actually just going to go straight for the Earth Power here onto Entei, and I'm just going to Double Edge Sylveon. Sylveon here could choose to Protect, it could switch out into Aegislash, but the thing is, Entei right now does absolutely nothing to either of my Pokemon. Entei is a Pokemon that typically likes to be built bulkier with Will-O-Wisp and Snarl, but sometimes you can also run it with, yeah, Choice Band or something like that. So Sylveon actually does go for the Protect here. Double Edge goes into that Protect, not going to do any damage. He's actually going to launch off a Stone Edge here with that Entei. Great move, but that's not enough to knock out Salamence, which is so bulky, and Swampert does get this Earth Power off. So I knew that Entei really didn't have any option to knock me out here. Earth Power almost picks up the KO onto Entei as it has the leftovers. So this is going to be a really, really difficult one, I think, for my opponent to even have a shot at winning. So let's see. It is a bit scary just because that Sylveon did get the Calm Mind boost, so he could potentially go for a double Protect here. I'm just going to Earth Power and Double Edge Sylveon here once again. My opponent would need to get the double Protect off with Sylveon and KO my Salamence, connecting with its Stone Edge, and the mathematical probability of that isn't very high. So, knockout Sylveon here, Earth Power is going to knock out Entei, and it should be a pretty clean win here that basically came out from the fact that I was able to get that turn 1 Ice Beam off against the Salamence. So, pretty aggressive read there, but it made a lot of sense, because if you think about it, why would you stay in against a Swampert and a you know, Salamence with that Aegislash? So, Entei goes down here, and it is a 4-1 game now in my favor. So, the Aegislash is going to come back in here, but you can see the Swampert actually putting in so much work. It's really bulky, and I haven't mentioned to you guys yet, but it's actually Assault Vest. So, with that Assault Vest, it's able to underspeed Aegislash, so if Aegislash attacks, you know, it changes forms, and then I just one-hit KO it with Earth Power. So, that's why I really loved using the Swampert at Worlds. It's a really nice counter to Thundurus, Aegislash, and a bunch of other common Pokemon, like Heatran as well, which I had difficulty dealing with. So, we pick up a really, really clean first game win there, and couldn't have asked for a better game. So you see the lead of Salamence and Swampert putting in a lot of work there. The Swampert basically I ended up using because I had trouble with Pokemon like Heatran. Thundurus is always really annoying to deal with as well, so I wanted something that can hit, you know, for super hard damage, and you know, Grass is the only thing that really threatens Swampert as a typing, and I have Salamence and Blaziken to deal with that Grass, and Ferrothorn also counteracts it by ignoring Rage Powders from, you know, Amoonguss. So that's why I did enjoy using Swampert. I don't think many people have used it you know, in general. Angel Miranda used it earlier on in the beginning of the season, but he used a Wide Guard variant, whereas I went full offense with the Assault Vest, obviously, so I had to go for all attacks, but gets a lot of nice coverage with Earth Power, Ice Beam, Scald, and Rock Slide. So we are just going to hop back onto the ladder and look for our second game of today's episode. Otherwise, you know, you saw how much damage Max Attack Salamence can do even after it Intimidate. I mean, it did 70% to that Sylveon there. That Sylveon probably pretty bulky too. In fact, this Mega Salamence with the Max Attack actually I think has a 25% chance of one-hit KOing Gardevoir, even at -1 if it's max HP, no defense. We're going to find John with a rating of 1621 for our next opponent of the day. John rocking 2 of my favorite Pokemon on his team, and 3 of my Pokemon from my Nationals team. Rotom Wash, Landorus, Suicune, Mawile, Hydreigon, and Aegislash. Pretty intriguing team here, actually, because, you know, not much speed control other than potential Tailwind from Suicune, actually, and Hydreigon as well. But Mawile is typically a Mega Evolution that likes to be with Trick Room, and, you know, obviously we don't see Trick Room here. So, Suicune is actually one of the more problematic Pokemon for my team to deal with. I kind of have to rely on Ferrothorn to beat it, though it doesn't look like he has a great way to beat Ferrothorn in general. Gotrap here could be very, very good. So, for example, I could lead with Goth Blaziken. I do like that. With Ferrothorn in the back. And actually, I'm not so sure about that. I'm just trying to think, because Swampert applies pressure against Mawile, Aegislash, and Hydreigon, and Landorus right from the get-go. I can render the Landorus useless, but I don't even know if you would bring Landorus in this matchup. I don't think it's a very good idea. Now, Salamence here could be very helpful. For example, if he doesn't lead with Mawile, Salamence can just, I can get a Helping Hand Double Edge off with Got Salamence. I do have Trick Room with Gothitelle as well, so I could potentially, use Trick Room to reverse the Tailwind if that, ends up being a thing. But, you know what? I'm going to go with the Blaziken lead here. Yeah, I like Blaziken still. So I'm going to go Blaziken, and I actually really like Sylveon here because of the tricks that I've got on it. So I'm going to go with Sylveon. And in the back, is Salamence even that great here? I mean, it gets double edges off, and it still knocks out Hydreigon, Landorus. And I can Earthquake as well, but I don't know. I actually might go the Ferrothorn Swampert route this game and not bring Salamence. And in fact, I am going to end up doing that here. Intimidate does help against Mawile, but Ferrothorn's a pretty good Pokemon against Mawile in the first place because of, the fact that Mawile can't really hit it unless it has like Fire Fang, and I can just Leech Seed away. So that's pretty helpful, and we're going to get into this game with John. So he's going to lead with Suicune and Aegislash here, which I'm very, very okay with against my Blaziken and Sylveon. However, there are some mind games right from the start because, do you King Shield with Aegislash, do you switch out, or do you predict my Blaziken to protect? I mean, I think the right play here is to protect Aegislash and go for a Tailwind or a Scald. So I could switch out into Swampert here, or Ferrothorn, either are okay, and I can get my first Calm Mind boost up with Sylveon right from the beginning. I don't know. I feel like Suicune, if I were my opponent here, I would probably King Shield Aegislash Tailwind. So, you know what? I'm going to switch out into Ferrothorn. And Calm Mind, yeah. Since once I beat the Suicune, Aegislash is just one hit KO by Overheat. So Ferrothorn's going to come in here, and Suicune, yeah, you can kind of see it's a difficult Pokemon to deal with. He actually doesn't King Shield with Aegislash, so props to my opponent for making that play. I guess I should have just went for the Overheat Calm Mind play. That would have been so good for me. So Sylveon gets this Calm Mind up, but we're probably going to see a Flash Cannon go into that spot. Unfortunately, well played by my opponent there, and it's going to be a difficult one to catch up right now. My goal is probably going to be to knock out the Suicune before anything else. So Aegislash stance changing here, probably going to go for a Flash Cannon onto Sylveon. Flash Cannon does come out. Yeah, Overheat would have been a better play, but I didn't want to lose Blaziken so early on, but Sylveon takes that like a champion, over 50% there. So with that, let's see. I wonder if my opponent's going to double up into it. I'm going to actually just go for the Power Whip here, and I am going to go for the rest here. Unfortunately, however, with the Tailwind, things are a bit more difficult, but if my opponent doesn't double up into this Sylveon slot, which he did not, I'm going to be able to heal back. So, Mawile coming in here, though, good play by my opponent, and, would have been nice to get a Leech Seed off here just to put on some more pressure, but I wanted to see if I could pick up not the knockout, or just do a lot of damage to Suicune. So we're going to see another Flash Cannon here. Let's see if he got a low damage roll that first time around. Sylveon hangs out with 4 HP, gets that rest off, and heals all the way back. Unfortunately, though, the bad thing about this is right now, he can just Iron Head that slot this next turn, so I'm probably going to have to give up this Calm Mind boost, which really, really sucks. Hidden Power Ground onto either slot honestly might have been a bit better. Power Whip's going to come out, target down that Mawile, but obviously not going to do... actually, probably did a bit more than I expected there. So, with that happening, let's see. Probably going to see Iron Head onto Sylveon, and a Shadow Ball onto Ferrothorn. Yeah. So who would I rather knock out here? I'm going to go for the Leech Seed, but who do I want to target down? I'll Leech Seed Mawile and switch Sylveon into Swampert. Yeah, so I could have really just won the game right from the first one if I just went for Overheat and Hyper Voice or Calm Mind. But unfortunately I didn't make a good enough read that time around. So Mawile Mega Evolves here, but if he's smart he would have Play Rough that slot, knowing Play Rough still does a ton of damage, maybe doubling up into the slot, but we'll see. As he is going to go for the Iron Head. Perfect. So Swampert's going to switch in, going to take that relatively well. I mean, Mawile is still so powerful. Aegislash here going for the Shadow Ball. Let's see if he doubled up into the Swampert slot. He did not, so Shadow Ball goes onto Ferrothorn. Leech Seed connects here with the Mawile, which is fantastic, meaning I'll be healing back more. And you see that because the Ferrothorn is so bulky and with leftovers and Leech Seed, it's going to be very, very difficult for my opponent to even knock out this Ferrothorn. That's exactly why I brought it to Worlds. I feel like very few Pokemon have effective ways to knock it out. Of course, Kangaskhan can be a bit difficult to deal with. If not checked because of low kick, but that's why you have Intimidate and Gothitelle Trap. So unfortunately right now He can just play rough Swampert. Maybe I should give up my Swampert and switch out into Sylveon. Not give it up, or sack the Sylveon, since Swampert I'd say is probably a bit more important right now. Yeah, I mean, I feel like he'd play rough Shadow Ball here. I can't really switch into Blaziken. Yeah, you know what, I'm gonna just put on some more pressure, get that Leech Seed off against Aegislash, and switch out into Sylveon here. I mainly brought the Sylveon to counteract the Hydreigon and Rotom Wash and Landorus Incarnate form, but the dual Steel type right now is pretty difficult to deal with, which is why I'm regretting not overheating that first turn. Aegislash stance changes, which is actually even better for me since, you know, I get that guaranteed Leech Seed off. So now both of his Pokemon are going to be losing HP, and my Ferrothorn's going to, you know, heal all the way back to full HP, basically. So he does go for the Play Rough here onto that Swampert slot. And the Sylveon, so defensively bulky, actually hangs on with 13 HP, which is a testament to how bulky the Sylveon is. So I do get the double Leech Seed off here, and Ferrothorn has that left over. So, like I mentioned, I don't think my opponent has any real way to deal with this Ferrothorn right now. If we look at his team, already Mawile, Aegislash, and Suicune, none of it can deal with it very well. So he's going to need to have that Hydreigon in the back. And if it doesn't have a fire type attack, he is going to be in a lot of trouble right now. So, you know, Ferrothorn might be able to just carry us this game despite me not playing that first turn very well. So that's good, and let's see what we want to do this turn. If you're my opponent here, you might want to consider switching out with one of your two Pokemon. So I could Hidden Power Ground Mawile. Who would you switch out here? I'd rather knock out Mawile if anything. So I'll go for the Power Whip here onto... Oh, this is a difficult turn. Would you switch out Mawile? You'd probably switch out Mawile, right? I'll Power Whip Mawile. Hidden Power... Actually, I'll just double up into the Mawile, see if I can punish it. But, let's see. Okay, so he actually just goes for the Sucker Punch, doesn't switch out, targets down that Sylveon. Good play by my opponent there. Could have potentially predicted the Sucker Punch, but didn't go for it, as Aegislash is going to stance change. Okay, so I'm fine with that, because what it means is I get a free switch into my Blaziken. So he's going to go for a Shadow Ball here, but with the leftovers and the Leech Seed recovery, I'm going to heal back basically everything. So Power Whip connects with Mawile, obviously not doing very much damage, but any damage is good, especially when you've got Leech Seed set up. So, you know, I didn't gain very much from that turn, but I didn't lose very much either. If anything, my opponent's in even more awkward position now since Aegislash is in Blade form, so, you know, he'd be inclined to King Shield or something. So I get more recovery out here, which is great, and he is slowly losing, you know, both of his Pokemon. So I'm definitely going to conserve the Swampert, since with the Salt Vest I can deal with Aegislash, so I'll bring in Blaziken here. Now the question is, what Pokemon protects? You know, do you King Shield with either? Or do you protect with... I mean, I could overheat Gyro Ball here, but he can just protect and play rough. So I'm going to predict the protect and go for the Gyro Ball into Mawile and protect Blaziken. Yeah, that works out nicely. The issue here is he could potentially set up another Tailwind with the Suicune, but since Blaziken does have Speed Boost, I'm going to pretty much guarantee that I get 2 Speed Boosts off before Tailwind is set up second time in this match, and that means Blaziken will still be able to outspeed. He doesn't switch out here, which is good for me. Blaziken going for that Protect. Let's see if Aegislash King Shields here. He does not. Goes for the Play Rough onto Mawile. He goes for the Shadow Ball here onto the Aegislash. So good play, but I don't mind that too much. You know, this Ferrothorn is so bulky. It's able to take all these attacks very, very nicely. So a better play I could have made is perhaps just targeting down the Mawile with the Superpower and Gyro Balling or Power Whipping Aegislash, but I wanted to play it safer here, and let's see if Mawile goes down from Leech Seed. It does, perfect. So with Mawile gone now, he doesn't have a great way to one-hit KO the Swampert that I have in the back, which is exactly why I conserved it, and Aegislash here is still losing health every turn from the Leech Seed, so pressure's definitely on for my opponent right now. We are 3-3, he's still got a Suicune in the back. Suicune can't do very much, but obviously you can see that the Ferrothorn doesn't have Lumberry, having leftovers instead, which was a last-second change I made before Worlds, and with the leftovers, as he brings in Landorus, that is such a good Pokemon to see here. Perfect. So he really has no way to deal with Ferrothorn, which I'm totally okay with. So, seeing this Landorus, I'm actually just going to go for the Gyro Ball onto Aegislash and launch a Hidden Power Ice here onto Landorus. without the Life Orb on Aegislash, I don't think Shadow Ball will knock out Blaziken, so even if Landorus protects and Aegislash attacks here, that's not, you know, the worst of cases. If anything, my opponent's best play right now might be to actually bring in that Suicune and try to set up a Tailwind, but like I mentioned, because of Blaziken's speed boost, I'll be able to outspeed my opponent's Pokemon, as he actually does withdraw Blaziken, so nice play there. Or, excuse me, Aegislash. And so the question here is, does Landorus go for the Protect? Because if he doesn't, this game is basically over. And he does go for the Protect. So perfect play by my opponent there. Probably the only play he could have made. So I played it maybe a bit too safe here. Was hoping he would just, you know, get baited into attacking, but not the case. Once again, though, it really looks like he has no answer to Ferrothorn. So we might be in for a longer match, but that's okay with me since right now he's got no way to deal with Ferrothorn. So, you know, I'm willing to play that game out, and, you know, in a real VGC match, of course, timer is certainly a thing, so we'd only have around 5 minutes left, which is something I definitely consider. Right now, I'm actually going to predict Landorus to switch out into the Aegislash, so I'm going to overheat that slot. Even if he doesn't, you know, overheat might just knock out Landorus, and I'm going to go for the Leech Seed here onto Suicune to start getting that recovery up. So you can see how good Ferrothorn is against teams, especially against a team like this, which doesn't seem to carry a Fire-type attack or Pokemon at all. So even if Landorus doesn't switch out, I mean, what, you get an Earth Power off against Blaziken, knock it out, a Suicune goes for a Tailwind, maybe goes for a Scald, but he is going to stay in actually there, so good play by my opponent. Overheat comes out from that Blaziken, boosted by the Life Orb, is it enough to knock out Landorus? It is. So, Blaziken is so good, man. And that's exactly why I brought it to Worlds. You know, if you think about it, Blaziken is a difficult Pokemon to use because, you know, predicting. But what this team allowed me to do was put my opponent into uncomfortable positions to the point where I could just pick up knockouts regardless of whether they switched out or not. And combine it with Gothitelle, you instantly lock them in, and then it's so much trouble for them. So we trade knockouts there, but I definitely get the better end of it since right now, like I said, this Ferrothorn is going to be able to win me the game. And with the Assault Vest Swampert that I conserved earlier on in the match, I'll be able to bring that in. Aegislash, you know, and Suicune can double up into it. Won't be able to knock me out, and Earth Power will knock out the Aegislash for my opponent's last one. So this game should be won in my favor at this point, unless he gets critical hits and insane burns left and right. So basically, I think what he needs here is maybe if he's smart enough to King Shield with Aegislash, get a Scald Burn on the Swampert, double up into it the next turn, and then get special defense drops with Aegislash, but highly unlikely here. So I'm just going to Power Whip Earth Power at this point, and we should be able to take the win here. The really nice thing about the Swampert is it can take a Life Orb, a Shadow Ball from Aegislash up to 3 times, so it's a 3 KO from LO Aegislash, which is so good. And no King Shield coming out here, so we are going to see the Scald come out. Going to target down that Swampert. Swampert takes that so easily, actually faster than Aegislash there. I wasn't expecting that, but I get the Earth Power off here. Don't pick up the knockout there, and it is Weakness Policy. This could be really bad. I should have Leech Seeded that slot. Oh man, well, we'll see who he targets here. If he targets the Ferrothorn, he's done for. Nope, he is smart enough to target on that Swampert. Okay, so now we are kind of in for a match here. I was expecting it to be the faster Aegislash variant, like, you know, most Aegislashes are, but not the case here. So very, very interesting to see that, and I don't think Shadow Ball and Scald will knock me out here, but if he gets a burn, I'm going to be in trouble. So I think it comes down to whether you get the burn or not here. But wow, really clutch survival from that Aegislash, and probably a bit of a misplay on my end there. Should have considered him being slower and with the Weakness Policy. So I'm going to just protect here to get that leftover, or the Leech Seed recovery from Suicune, because, you know, he can Tailwind, sure, but he's already faster anyway with both of his Pokemon. Yeah, he's just going to go for the Ice Beam and the Shadow Ball. Okay, so I think I'll be bulky enough to take that, but I'm so frustrated at myself for not considering that play being a possibility. So with that, I'm going to go for the Gyro Ball here onto Aegislash. You know, if he King Shield, that's fine. Your Suicune's going to fall down slowly but surely. So he's going to go for the Ice Beam here. Shadow Ball did around 40%. I don't think Ice Beam will have that extra. Oh no. And he gets the freeze, so if Shadow Ball doesn't knock me out here. Wow. That's heartbreaking. I mean, I had that game won. Gyro Ball would have knocked out Aegislash, and then I would have had Leech Seed leftovers against Suicune protected the following turn. So, that 10% from Ice Beam sealing up the game here for us. But, you know, I probably deserved to lose that one just because I didn't play a perfect game towards the end. So, I should have considered the slower variant with Weakness Policy. And unfortunately, Freeze bails my opponent out there. I get the Protect off here, but it's too late. I really needed the knockout there. Oh, that's so frustrating. So yeah, now with the Weakness Policy, Shadow Ball does do enough, so you know, I'm going to go for the protects, because if I somehow manage to get, like, all the protects and heal Ferrothorn back up to a point where I can take another Shadow Ball, you know, I can still win this one. But I don't think I'll be able to get enough recovery at this point, unfortunately. So that's a heartbreaker, honestly. This was definitely a game we should have won, but I also should have considered the weakness policy. I should have just Earth Power Leech Seeded that turn. So I'm not going to get the double protect off here. Suicune's going to get the Ice Beam off here, and the double into Ferrothorn's going to knock it out. So, you know, I... As he gets the second freeze, that insult to injury there against Ferrothorn. So, well done, Suicune. And that's how you beat Ferrothorn, you know, have a weakness policy on Aegislash and get a couple freezes here and there. So great game to John there, heartbreaker, but, you know, I know this is a game I should have won, and, you know, best of 3, you know, definitely would be able to make the right adjustments, and Ferrothorn basically carried us through that game. So even though it was a loss, I'm pleased to feature how good Ferrothorn could be. I just should have considered that Aegislash could have been 0 speed and min speed and with a weakness policy. But that was a really, really fun episode for you guys that showed you guys a lot of the tricks that this team carried. If anything, I could have played that second game a lot better by playing more aggressively with Blaziken right from the get-go, but, you know, we're going to learn from that, and we'll see how the rest of the week goes. Anyway, that's going to be it for this episode, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. It's really, really good to be back, and I'm looking forward to the future of this channel and the season. Anyway, leave a like always if you enjoyed this episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright, peace.